Now, Donald Trump is not a very stable genius. He has a very limited attention span, and that was on display at an Oval Office event that happened this week. So now Donald Trump met with survivors of religious persecution. That's a real thing. Worldwide, there's plenty of religious people, minorities that are being persecuted against in different areas. Christians in the Middle East, Muslims in China, and Myanmar, and to a smaller extent, Muslims also get persecuted here in the United States as well. So now President Trump and Republicans, to be clear, they want to make it look like, oh no, it's the Christians that are being persecuted in America. That's preposterous. Nonetheless, that's one of their goals. But hey, look, if you're hosting and you're listening to stories of people who are being persecuted around the world, that's not a bad thing, right? But just note that a lot of these events come with the underlying purpose of, look how bad the Muslims are. So now, are all Muslims violent? Of course not. But you do have radicalism in the Middle East in the form of Al-Qaeda. You had it in the form of ISIS as well. And so they had, the White House had hosted a Yazidi woman named Nadia Murad. So now, again, Yazidis, you guys remember, they're a very small religious minority in basically area that's being contested between both the Iraqi government and Kurdish rebels, right? So they kind of get caught in the middle, and then, of course, previous to that, they had been attacked by ISIS, and so this, small minority religious group has been through a lot of terrible, terrible, terrible things. So let me be clear. Murad is a hero. She's a survivor. Her story is very important. And we should absolutely help out the Yazidis, right? So now that said, and let me put that up. That said, is it really all that important to Donald Trump? No. Let me show you why.
When ISIS attacked us in 2014, they killed 6 of my brother. They killed my mom. They took me to captivity with my 11 sister-in-law, with all my sister and my nieces. Until today, we have 3,000 Yazidi women and children in captivity. Although they said ISIS is defeated, but where is those 3,000 Yazidi?
But ISIS is gone.
But if I
now
can,
it's Kurdish and who?
Iraqi government. If I cannot go to my home and live in a safe place.
Okay, so here she was, kind of explaining her story, and there's a lot to that video clip. But in the middle of it, Donald Trump says, but ISIS is gone. Yeah, ISIS is gone, but their problems persist. Their problems were much more than just ISIS. Again, explaining the situation there. There is the Kurdish and the Iraqi forces both fighting over that area, and they're literally caught in the middle. They can't go home. So that's a big, big problem. But Donald Trump, he's like, well, but there's no ISIS, right? Because I beat ISIS. Yeah, okay, whatever. You beat ISIS. But that didn't solve her problem. And look, this shows how it's political for him. He says, ISIS is gone. I won. In reality, the Yazidis and other minorities are still suffering. And ironically, because of Trump's policies, I just read earlier that he wants to cut down the number of refugees to 0. Their people couldn't emigrate here if they wanted to as refugees. But of course, at the same time, this young woman, she says, look, we tried to immigrate through Germany, and, it's a very dangerous way to get there, and we don't want to have to do that. We don't want to be refugees. We just want to go home. And here's the thing. And here's what the Trump administration doesn't get. That's what every refugee wants. They don't want to drop everything to leave their homes to go someplace new. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand why I need to explain that to conservatives. But they think, oh, no, the refugees, they just want to come here and destroy America and bring their crap hole country problems here. No, No, they want to get away from the violence. They want to get away from, rampant poverty and corruption. It takes a lot to get someone to pack up and leave their home to go someplace new. Imagine if you were in that situation. What would it take for you to want to leave your home, to drop everything, take your kids, and get the hell out of your country? I mean, the empathy, right? There is a lack of empathy. They don't understand. So now, here's the perfect opportunity to get a little bit of empathy from the president. And she tried. And her story is absolutely heartbreaking. And I hope that, we could do something to get the Yazidis to be able to go back home. And I mean diplomatic solution, not a war solution. I'm 100% against that. But, there needs to be like a diplomatic solution that protects this religious minority so that they can go and they can live their lives. But again, none of this matters to President Trump as much because, as you can see, he's barely even listening.
All this happened to me. They killed my mom, my 6th brother. They left behind them.
Where are they now?
They killed them. They are in the mass graves in Sinjar. And I'm still fighting just to live in safe. Please do something. And it's not about one family.
I know the area very well you're talking about.
It's about 500,000. It's about the whole community.
Okay. We're going to look into it very
Thank you
strongly.
so much.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
And you had the Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
But
They gave it to you for what reason? You can explain.
for what reason? For that after all this happened to me, I didn't give up. I make it clear to everyone that ISIS raped thousands of Yazidi women. This one was first time the woman from Iraq, she get out and spoke about what happened to them.
Oh, really? Is that right?
It's
That's the
first time, and it's
So you escaped.
I escaped, but I don't have my freedom yet.
She just told you that they were murdered twice. Where are they now? Where are they now? They killed them. They're in mass graves in Sinjar. I mean, she continued to explain. And Trump said, oh, I know the area very well. You're talking about it. It's tough. We're going to look into it very strongly. Very strong. Murad then thanked Trump. And then, of course, right after, he said, oh, you have the Nobel Prize. They gave it to you for what reason? What do you think? She's a survivor. She survived horrible persecution, the deaths of a lot of her family. She got out, but not only that, she became an activist to try to prevent this from happening to other people. And he said, oh, really? Oh, is that right? So there were two things that mattered to Donald Trump in this. ISIS, right? And he's like, well, I destroyed ISIS, so problem solved. Great. No problem not solved. And her Nobel Prize. That's what mattered to him. The rest, I don't think he gave a damn about. Oh, your family was killed. Where were they now? Where are they now? They're in a grave. They're dead. You idiot. And yeah, ISIS may be gone, but these people do need a lot of help so they can go home. Now, it would be shocking to me if Donald Trump was able to open up dialogue between Turkey and the Kurds to allow the Yazidis to return home. I hope he'll try, but we've seen, of course, Donald Trump's other overtures on diplomacy, and knowing that record, I don't have much faith that right now these people will get the help that they need. And that, of course, is the most heartbreaking part of all of this. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. and you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.